Good morning from Cape Cod. I'm going to continue my conversations on Howard Thurman's contemplative activism, focusing on the interplay of prophetic healing, spirituality, politics, and empathy. Howard Thurman tells the story of being a young boy growing up in Daytona Beach, Florida. And one fall, he was employed by a local businessman to rake the leaves in his yard. On that fall day, as Howard was raking leaves, the businessman's daughter found his work quite attractive and found the leaves quite attractive and began to pick out leaves and began also to jump on piles of leaves, as children often do. After he'd told her not to do it a few times, Howard lost patience and then warned the girl, if you continue picking leaves and jumping on the piles and making messes, I'll have to tell your father. The girl got quite upset and then picked out a pin, a hat pin from her bag, and plunged it into Howard's arm. When he squealed, when he yelled in pain and surprise, she responded, Howard, you can't feel. Somehow in the course of her young life of 4 or 5 years, she had come to be told that Black people don't feel the way white people do. That Black people don't feel pain, so you can treat them any way you want to, and it won't really bother them. Isn't that one of the most important ethical and spiritual and behavioral questions? One of the most important relational questions. Can you feel? Dehumanization is grounded in minimizing the feelings of others. Dehumanization is grounded in thinking that others don't feel the same pain and joy that we do, that their pain and joy is no more than that of an animal's. Of course, these days, we do know that animals feel and that feeling seems to be universal. But dehumanization means acting as if the other is entirely different and cannot feel as we do. Dehumanization is the work of racial and coded language. It's the work of referring to immigrants as thugs and rapists. Dehumanization is closing our ears to George Floyd's cries, I can't breathe, or the traumatization of children on our borderlands in concentration camps when toddlers are separated from their parents. Or dehumanization is shooting in the back several shots of a Black man whose 3 children are sitting in the car, as if those children will not be traumatized. Destruction is grounded in the affirmation or negation that others cannot feel. Howard Thurman was an apostle of sensitiveness. Feeling, emotion, empathy, compassion were at the heart of his vision of prophetic healing. Howard Thurman grew up singing the spirituals. Nobody knows the troubles I've known. Nobody knows but Jesus. He grew up singing, Were you there when they crucified my Lord? He knew what Alfred North Whitehead meant when he said, God is the fellow sufferer who understands. Or Dietrich Bonhoeffer proclaimed, only a suffering God can save. Apathy leads to destruction and dehumanization. Empathy leads to creation and healing. Apathy leads to justifying violence against minorities, against protesters, against children, and neglecting to hear the cries of the poor. Empathy leads to our knowing that what we do makes a difference for joy and sorrow in the lives of others. And though politics always involves power, we can use our power in a healing way. From the point of view of Howard Thurman, God is the most moved mover. God is the fellow sufferer who understands. God feels our pain. And knowing that God feels our pain challenges us to feel the pain of the others, to move from apathy to empathy, from exclusion to inclusion, from indifference to compassion. Jesus felt the pain of Jerusalem. The prophets knew the divine pathos God's painted in justice. Today, empathy and compassion invite us to hear and feel the pain of the vulnerable, the broken, the unjustly treated, but also the oppressor whose soul hangs in the balance, the leader who must have adulation and adoration in order to feel good about himself. Empathy helps us see the holiness in others, see that we are joined in the Spirit, and enables us to live out prophetic healing in our politics, our relationships, in our communities.